So, Conor McGregor and Eddie Alvarez.
Okay. Well, from Eddie Alvarez's perspective, he's going to watch the Mendes fight and get a lot of confidence from that. I think he's going to want to, if not utilise his wrestling, at least threaten the wrestling game. I think he's going to feel like he can wear Conor down and possibly start to, make him vulnerable to his boxing later on in the rounds. There's been a question about Conor's conditioning. I've asked that question a couple of times myself. I personally think he faded against Mendes, and I think it was the fact that Mendes had not had a full training camp that allowed Conor to really stamp his dominance in that fight. And then in the Diaz fight, because he throws with so much power, there is a drain on his cardiovascular system there, and I think that Eddie Alvarez, because he's such a veteran of the game, is able to cover very well. He's able to ride shots very well, and if you think of the guys he's fought since he came to the UFC, I mean, he's fought the best of the best, really. And I think he's been around the game for so long. He's done the trash talking before. It's not fazed him before. I think he handled himself very well at the press conference. I don't think Conor's going to be able to get inside his head like he has done with the fighters. And I don't think he has the investment in the trash talking like other people have. I mean, obviously Diaz was happy to engage there, but Eddie Alvarez will just smile and continue to prepare for the fight. From Conor's perspective, he's certainly going to look to stamp his dominance in that first round. That's when he needs to land those good clean shots that get Eddie Alvarez's respect and take away an option from him. If Conor can land a couple of shots and hurt Eddie Alvarez, or at least make him respect his power, then it's going to be a case of Conor defending takedowns and pushing him back and landing good clean shots. I also think he's going to look better at 155 than he's ever done before. I think 145 was a big cut for him. I mean, you've got to think he's got almost the same reach as me, which is really, it's a huge reach for a featherweight. And I think the extra weight that he gained for welterweight just didn't suit him. There is a point where you're carrying the optimal weight, and I think Conor is a lightweight. I think he's a lightweight fighter. And he also knows there's a lot at stake at this one as well, because if he loses to Eddie Alvarez, there's a question of whether he goes down to featherweight to defend his belt. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Conor here, especially because although Eddie Alvarez is the champion, it's his first defence. A lot of people will be rooting for Conor and will be assuming that Conor's going to win, just given the fact that Conor is himself. He's got such a huge hype train following him, and that often carries him into the fight with a great deal of momentum. It's a fascinating one. I'm really looking forward to getting into it and pulling these fights apart and doing a breakdown on it. I know Mark Henry's been watching Conor for a long time, and he's going to be focused on this, way before the training camp even starts. So, and it's a marquee event as well. I mean, Eddie Alvarez is going to be annoyed that Conor got such a good reaction in New York, and he's going to want to shut that down and stop Conor basically taking over the lightweight division as well, which is what Conor's plan is. If he becomes a two-weight champion, he's the biggest star in UFC history, and I think that's the point when he would eclipse Ronda as the biggest star in the UFC. So there's a lot riding on this. I actually think there's a lot more pressure on Conor, because if he doesn't win this, he's going to have to get back into the mix at lightweight and start fighting his way back to a title, or he's going to go down to featherweight and have to defend his belt again, and I don't think he wants to do that.